War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you hanging out with us for even just a few minutes of your very precious time to talk about what we love about Auburn and sometimes what we don't love about Auburn. Let's be honest. Some days there's good and bad news. Some days there's plenty of good news. Some days there's really bad news, but hey, this has kind of been a mixed bag of things today. So typically on Monday nights, it's usually a scheduled kind of content idea. We've been talking a lot about Auburn basketball, and we can do that some. However, I know where a lot of y'all's hearts and minds are right now for Auburn discussion points, that being Bo Nix, Tank Bigsby, recruits, OC search. So I figured why try to fight it tonight? I'd set it up that we can discuss really anything, but I know a lot of the focus is going to be centralized on what's going on in and around the football program right now. And I thought it'd also be appropriate tonight to take live callers. Everyone can call in. It is posted right now in the top of the chat window if you would like to take advantage of that. So please do if you can. Typically, we reserve Monday nights for just our Booster Club members. But I've asked them to be okay with that for tonight, just because I felt the nature of all the crazy news out there. It'd be best if we had kind of almost an open therapy session call. So anyone can call in right now. If you're a Booster Club member, we'll definitely try to get you in ahead of everybody else, just to kind of honor that commitment that you've made to us. But that is what is on the table for tonight. Open-ended discussion, mainly focused on football. If y'all wanted to talk about some basketball stuff, because we were supposed to do that anyway, we can do that. With that being said, a couple things that you can do for me in the chat right now, if you're watching live, especially, you can do it in the replay as well if you're watching then. Make sure you post where you're watching from, city, state, international, with a War Eagle. Lets me know who's here, hanging out with me, having a good old time. You can also share this out on social media. Can invite some other people to be part of our discussion. It's always great to have more and more members of the Auburn family join in on us and be part of the stream here tonight. And if I think I said already, make sure you smash that like button. Let me say hello to a couple people that are already in the chat tonight. We got Neil, Dusty, Big Simp, Cohen, J.O. Squared, Corey Benson, Blake's World. Good to see a lot of you already, and I'm sure we'll see many others as we go through on tonight. And we are broadcasting live on Facebook and Twitter too as well. So we'll obviously be able to see some of y'all's comments and things like that as well. Always encourage you to come over to YouTube. It's the better setup, the better experience, but it's there for those of you that want to consume that content on those two formats right now. Neil says, I really despise the sports media. SDS reported that Tank was entering the portal. Now he's not. My goodness. So would you say that didn't age well? It's interesting, right? It's one of the favorite phrases that I've seen swirling around today especially. Listen, I'll say this. Everybody's got their information. And I think that most people are trying to manage that the best way that they can. And they're trying to also be very good in their reporting. There is always a race to be first, right? That's the reality of it. And sometimes you get out ahead of it. Sometimes you don't get out ahead of it. But regardless, listen, they probably had their sources they felt comfortable with. I will tell you this, from what I was being told, this has really been a back and forth thing with Tank and the coaching staff and whether he was going to come back or leave or not. And obviously, I don't think the Bose decision was a huge factor in whether Tank was going to come back or not, you got to think that it at least plays some factor in it, because that's your quarterback. It's going to dictate a lot of the success that the Auburn has or doesn't have next season. We can talk about that some too, because that's the premise of the show mainly tonight is what's next. We know Bo's in the transfer portal. Obviously, there's always the minute possibility he could have a change of heart based on the response that he's getting. I'd probably saying he is just ready to walk off into the sunset. Yes, and Neil, I just saw that shortly a little while ago, about an hour ago, I think we picked up a JUCO cornerback. So 2 huge pickups today. And for those of you that have asked and wanted us to do a lot more recruiting content here on this channel, we might. But Wednesday is your day. Live stream on Wednesday night, open calls again. That's all. We're going to be talking recruiting mainly. It's going to be National Signing Day, the early National Signing Day, but it's basically the National Signing Day that everybody pays attention to now, the most at least. So that is your day. So I hope you'll tune in for that. Dusty, one of our channel members and our Booster Club members, thank you, sir, for your support as always. Says, so did Tank enter the portal? Harsin convinced him to stay today. So that is the reports out there. The reports are that he was planning to. There was a last minute push by Coach Harsin. Cadillac, I'd say probably Cadillac had a hand in that just as much, if not more, than Coach Harsin. So yeah, he was probably feeling like it was right for him to go off into the sunset too, but decided to stay, thankfully. And we have the coaches to thank for that. So if you're mad at the coaches, might want to be happy with them today for being able to keep Tank. Good to see a Big Simp. Yeah, a lot of people are posting about the number one JUCO safety here right now. Joe squared. I agree. 24 hours. My goodness. I literally went to bed at 4:00 this morning for various reasons. A lot of it was related to what was going on, but it kind of put me behind in some other things that I normally do at the end of the night for all our content that we produce. And so, yeah, it's been a long couple of days for me. That I will say, definitely much so. Corey, thanks for being here. Corey's one of our Booster Club members as well. Thank you for your support. And watching from East Snob Cobb. Always interesting that they call us that, isn't it, Neil? Tyler, Texas representing. Good to see you. B-Ham represented. My heart is B-Ball right now. I trust Harsin and the foundation he's trying to build. I'm not worried about people leaving the program. Apparently, our coach is not a butt kisser. Let me push back, not necessarily on you, but that narrative. There's this notion going around that Coach, well, I guess Coach Patrick Nix and Bo Nix came to Coach Harsin with a list of demands, and that is why he left. I don't know that for a fact. I was never told anything, yes or no, on that. What I know about them and their families, that seems a little out of character, and it seems like it just fits the narrative of people who just want to hate on Bo Nix and the Nix family. So I would probably steer clear of perpetuating that commentary. But I would also say that what he was saying earlier, that Coach Harsin's sticking to his guns and saying, look, either you want to be here or not. This is how we're doing things. If it doesn't line up with you, good luck to you. And that's fair. That is a fair way for a coach to approach this. Devin, thanks for being here. We got Larry Davis in the house. We already know Nix is going to be on the Gus bus. Hey, listen, it would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it? But we'll see what happens, right? We will definitely see what happens. And I think what he's saying here, it is something that he knows. He knows the offense, the system. If you're going to do one more year to increase your draft stock the best you can, listen, folks, I get that you don't think he's an NFL quarterback. That's fine, but let's leave that alone. Such a tired. He's not an NFL quarterback. Like you're a judge of who's an NFL quarterback and who's not. But that, I think it would make a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. Do I want to see that happen? No, because I think it would be best to not have a centralized location for all of the Bo and Gus haters to drive their interest towards. Jeff, thank you for being here. Sir War Eagle to you as well. But he may be already there. Kevin Nelson from Daphne. Kevin is one of our Booster Club members. Kevin, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for watching on Facebook. I almost missed you because it doesn't do your little notification for channel member, Booster Club member, but thank you for tuning in over there. Good to see you on here, sir. I know we haven't been able to talk in quite some time. John, good to see you. Another channel member, Booster Club member. Do they lose their scholarship by leaving? Mark asks. If you're asking in the sense that because they're no, so let me straighten that out. From what I understand of how everything works, are graduate transfers, they don't lose a year of eligibility. Now, transfers post the COVID year do. Last year, everyone got like a free transfer. And I don't know if that's like a retroactive transfer, like you can use it still a year from now. I don't think so. But as I understand it, it's always been graduate transfers. They don't lose their eligibility because they've graduated. They can transfer and start right away. You see this happen a lot. Same thing, that you saw happen last year with the COVID pass that everybody got for 1 year. Dusty says we've got a FIU transfer O-line announcing at 8:30 tonight. Well, listen, the last live stream we did, we had breaking news with I'm blanking on his name right now, but the LSU cornerback. So why not have one more crazy thing happen on a live stream for us, right? John, crazy is a bit of an understatement. It has been a wild ride of emotions and interest and intrigue. And, for those of you that were anticipating a 10-win season, a 9-win season, I love your optimism, but I don't know that you were looking at the tea leaves strong enough. There was a lot going on with this one. Let's see here. Jack says, I told you earlier that Tank wasn't leaving. So are you the source? Hey, listen, yeah, I think everybody had their opinions about it, and clearly a lot of people were right and a lot of people were wrong. That's been the interesting thing about all of this today. There's been a lot of people that want to jump out and say that, whether it's one person or media are too quick to jump on things sometimes, but then you watch that happen on the opposite end as well when they're jumping too quick to say that they were too quick. It's kind of one of those things everybody needs to take a step back and just breathe for a second. Stop trying to one up each other. It's just been crazy. Yes, Wit, I do need some sleep. You have no idea. You have absolutely no idea. And yes, I agree. Yeah, I've seen one of the things out there, Jay Harrison, commentary that his location spots. Really, I don't really care because if he's leaving Auburn, he's not really my. It's kind of like the Gus Malzahn. I was a big Gus Malzahn fan, but I don't really follow what's going on. If I happen to scroll across on the TV, I might check over there and see how it's going. I'm going to root for him, but that's about it. I don't have interest in him after that. But to your point, UCF, Cincinnati, and Clemson were names that I saw circulating. I kind of like the Cincinnati pick. It's kind of a mid-major, got enough respect now this year, especially if they earn some respect in the playoff this year. Could set Bo up really, really well if Luke Fickell remains there, which I would assume the carousel has finally calmed down with Oklahoma, USC, Florida, LSU, and Auburn, Oregon, and Washington all settled. I would assume that we're good now. Thomas says, I was not impressed with Tank this year. Many times he was tackled at or behind the line of scrimmage, leading to a 4-and-out situation. It's not as simple as that, but I still agree with you. So here's where my commentary comes on that. And is similar for the quarterback position as well. Everybody's responsible for themselves. They've got to make happen with what they have. You have to play with the hand that you're dealt, right? But you cannot understate how underperforming the offensive line has been for a long time, but especially this season. So there is a little bit of blame that I take away from Tank. However, we saw Tank do bigger things last year with this same offensive line, relatively speaking. And yet this year wasn't really able to do much. Was it injuries? There was always that rumor out there that he wasn't 100%. Is it, issues off the field, not focused enough, or things like that? There's always going to be some speculation about that. But there was something that was a little off this season, right? He wasn't getting the right. I described it as, I noticed him. He used to absorb the blows and redirect it and go with it. He would absorb the blows this time and kind of come down with them. It's kind of what I interpreted it as. But again, I'm not an expert analysis, just what I picked up watching. All right. We'll keep going through comments and questions throughout the night here, but please do feel free to call in if you'd like. I should do this. You created these things for a reason. Call-in link is at the top of the chat window. All you have to do is click on it, and then it'll bring you to a little open screen. You can choose to do audio only. It could be on camera if you'd like. It's not required, but please do call in if you like to share some thoughts, opinions, and things like that. As long as you can behave yourself, I might have to dump you if you're going to misbehave, but we typically don't have that problem here. Larry says he's going to bet on Bo ending up at Ole Miss. That wouldn't be a bad setup for him either. I don't want that. I don't want any position of facing Bo. I don't want any position of facing anybody at this point, because nobody wins in that situation. If Bo were to go to Ole Miss And Auburn plays them obviously next year regardless. If we win, everyone's going to fuel the Bo hate even more. If we win, everyone's going to still fuel the Bo hate, and then everybody's going to start blaming and cause a raucous and things like this. There's no win in that scenario. So my hope is that Bo goes somewhere where he has limited opportunities to play Auburn. And I got to think he kind of hopes for that too. But he'll take the best option he has. And if Ole Miss comes calling, he might say, that's where I'm going. I don't know. Just realized how shiny the lights are on my head. Gotta always working on things here in the studio, trying to make them a little bit better, but the lighting situation sometimes is a little bit bad. Did we make the highlight reel on ESPN? Our b-ball team should have been well represented. It was a show they put on. Absolutely, it was. I did a video this weekend, kind of talking through some of the highlights. I hope you'll go check that one out. Yeah, it was a highlight reel for sure. I didn't check for the top 10. Usually they do like a compilation one over the weekend so that it's a bigger field to draw from. So I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't make it. Let's see here. Bo to a smaller Power 5 school or a bigger G5? Guess you mean group of 5 there. Yeah, potentially. Let's see. Was upsetting to see the Tank rumors flare up right after Bo left. He isn't leaving, folks. You know, those rumors flared up from places that I really trust and I really value their opinion on. And it goes to show you that just because someone has information then doesn't mean that it was wrong at the time, just because it worked out differently. I think that's the thing that everybody's so, and I've already said this already, everybody's so quick to gotcha, to have the gotcha moment. They won't stop to think, well, did something change? There's been a big discussion point about that that's been going on today. Hopefully I won't be watching Tank put people in the dirt in another team's uniform. Reports now point to him officially staying. I get the feeling that these are one of those situations where he's not going to announce I'm officially staying because he doesn't need to. But he is supposedly going to be at practice next week. On the topic, which was the title of this episode, of where do we go from here, Kevin has brought this up. I'm interested in the direction we go at OC. I haven't gotten a lot of information over that over the last couple of days. Last I heard, Austin Davis out of the Seattle quarterback was the most likely candidate. Kind of got to think that that's still where we're at this point. I would have loved to have seen Jeff Grimes, but it looks like Coach Harson's going to be calling plays, and he's probably going to bring someone in that's a little bit green to work underneath him and maybe one day turn the play calling over to. That's kind of what I think's going on, interpreting things that I've heard and looking at the tea leaves, so to speak. I do think part of me wishes that the announcement would come tomorrow before signing day, but I got to think that Coach Harsin has been going around once Zach Hill fell through and explaining to the situation and explaining where he's going with this offensive coordinator search for the rest of the time that it goes on. So I think that's been communicated, and what that leads me to believe is that he's in control of the offensive situation, and we'll find out as soon as he's ready to decide who's going to work underneath him. Let's see here. Blake asks another great question about what happens next after Bo. Actually thinking about doing a more well thought out video about this tomorrow, Blake. Not a live stream, but just to edit a video if I get some rest tonight. Who would you like to see at next quarterback, Finley or someone new? It's a very interesting question. I think you have merits either way. We'll find out. I'll come back to this question. Maybe this gentleman can join in with me and answer this question. So let's bring him in. First caller of the night, Ryan O'Keefe. Ryan, what's going on? How you doing, buddy?
Okay.
Ryan?
Okay, what's up?
What's going on? Thanks for calling in.
There were some relatives. Today's been a roller coaster.
Yeah, it's been a really big roller coaster, hasn't it?
I woke up to some not good news that Bo transferred, but I think it balances out with the 2 4 stars. I think they're 4 stars. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah.
Committing.
Are you excited just because they're 4 stars? Or are you excited because of what they bring to the table?
What they bring to the table and what
Okay.
Harsin and that defensive staff can do.
Yeah, I think those are obviously big areas where we need to fill, and I think those are 2 big things to kind of get started off on what could be a very potentially good start to this recruiting midweek. Right? There's a lot of hype around it. So, what do you think? Do you anticipate a big signing day, or do you think it'll be
Yes,
kind
I think
of?
Brian Harson's going to be on the trail. He just recently, I think about as of 30 minutes ago, tweeted out War Eagle with some like Auburn GIF.
Right, and
And
that's
then
usually his signal, right? That he's got a new recruit or a new commit
yeah,
or
and
something like
then
that.
late kick Josh. I don't know if you know him.
Yep. I don't know him, but I know of him. Yes.
Yeah, he tweeted out read into this tweet as much as or as little as you want. The J
It's
Boy
always
Show put out Tank is back with Heath Narborough, following that up with he's back with like a oh my gosh emoji. So
yeah.
take that as you wish.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? A lot of stuff rolling around right now. So who's
But
the one big?
I'm not logging anything in until I hear from the players themselves or Auburn.
I think that's a very wise approach. You should always take every bit of information that you get with a grain of salt. My favorite phrase is where there's smoke, there's fire, but to what degree, right? So
Right.
sometimes there's a little bit more smoke, which means it might be a little bit more prevalent, but doesn't necessarily mean it's true.
And I
We've
love
seen
how
that.
like Auburn Twitter is freaking out about oh my gosh, Brian Hart's doing 6-6. Guys, he's in the SEC West.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what we have here.
Yep.
We got to go to play Nick Saban every year. That's not an easy task by any means.
Right.
We got to play Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin, Brian Kelly now's in the mix. We got to go to A&M. Like the SEC West, the problem with the SEC West is everybody's in to win, and there's not enough wins to go around.
Well, yeah, it feels that way, doesn't it? It's a tough place to battle in the SEC in general, but the SEC West, and it shows you that when you come out of the SEC West, you're probably one of the best teams in the nation. So there is something to be said for competing there. If you can make it out of there alive by the skin of your teeth, you're probably a pretty good team. And Auburn competed well this season with all of those teams, so that should show you something.
Yeah. And I like where Brian Harson's taking this. I'm giving it patience.
Yep, I think that's a great approach. So why don't we do this to close out? Give me your number one recruit that you want to have happen on signing day on Wednesday.
What's his name? The France dude, the number one JUCO.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because I will butcher it. But
yes, yeah, I think that's the most realistic shot I got at a guy. I don't think there's any 5 stars that have top threes. If you're wrong, correct me. But like, still, I'm excited.
What about Darius?
5 to 10 years Clemens coming up.
What about Darius Clemens? How you feel about that wide receiver?
Who's he?
Out of Oregon, Darius Clemens.
Transfer portal guy or?
No, just a regular recruit. Go look him up, and then we'll talk again on Wednesday, and let's see if you're excited about that one. But I think that's a good one for you to look up.
We'll do.
I'm not saying he's gonna pick Auburn, but I think he's a very important one for Auburn to try to get. But hey, Ryan, thank you for calling in tonight, buddy.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it, man. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, that was our first caller tonight. You can call in too, just like it says below. Click the link up top. We'll hang out for a few minutes and talk about what's on your mind in the world of Bo Nix leaving, Tank apparently staying, other things transpiring. It's really just all on the table. Let me come back to Blake. We didn't get a chance to ask him this question, but Blake asked this question: who do you want at quarterback? Just briefly, I will say that I think TJ this year neither did anything to harm or help his case for being considered QB1. That being said, I also don't know if Demetrius Davis is going to be as good as advertised. His high school, keyword, high school tape looks really good. Same thing for Holden Grenier, I think, is I always figure out if I can't figure out if I'm pronouncing that right. He's coming out of high school. Tape looks great. But TJ Finley TJ Finley actually has experience. And I don't think that can be understated or undersold. So right now, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do the easy thing and lean on TJ Finley. But let's see what happens, right? Maybe he transfers at the end of all this craziness. But I think that's the safe bet right now until we really get some concrete things that are coming out of the postseason. It's a great question, though, Blake. Corey says, Kyle's, what's the likelihood of getting the Nebraska quarterback transfer? Personally, no information on this whatsoever. This is all speculation. I don't foresee us getting a graduate transfer quarterback unless TJ is either leaving or he is not viewed as the answer. And we won't know that, right? I think if someone arrives, then you'll know that answer. Also, it could be one of those scenarios where if there's an obvious choice out there, I'm not going to say Spencer Rattler is an obvious choice that you take no matter what, but let's just throw that out there. Then if you get a chance to bring him in, do you not bring him in? I don't know. I'm not hearing anything about the Nebraska quarterback transfer. I think that's all just speculation at this point. But hands, what's up, Autumn? It's a little thing between us. Bo's next destination can literally be 90% of power schools, in his opinion. He will be sought out by most of the best, for some of the best chance of winning next year. Yeah, I think Bo has a lot to offer any school. And if you give him the support that he has lacked over the last couple of years, the sky's the limit for the dude. And, when you hear some of the criticism of him, there's not a lot of concrete criticism. There's talked about inconsistency. Everyone latches up on these nebulous ideas that you really can't quantify, that you really can't point to, and ignores the context of the situation. Bo, especially with that injury, needs support around him. And if he's healthy and he gets that support, there's no telling. It's the understatement of the day. Witt says he'd like to see Davis. I think there's a lot of upside to Davis and a lot of value to go ahead and get him started here. But, I think TJ, the experience cannot be undersold. Bo won't go too far. Y'all, you and Clint today with bringing that Milo stuff in here. Oh, that's funny. All right, here. Getting a little bit behind in chat, but let's see what's going on. Is Coach Harsin calling plays in the bowl game? I would suspect so. Who else is going to do it? Bobo's gone. Does he give the reins over to some? I mean, if he somehow surprises everybody and does a Keesaw promotion or does someone else on the team promotion, I don't see another opportunity for that. Oh, look, we were just talking about Roderick's comment. Let's bring him in right now. What's going on, Roderick?
Hey, how's it going, War Eagle?
War Eagle, buddy. How you doing today, man? How you holding up?
It's just been a roller coaster ride.
What's on your mind tonight?
I think I'd like to see Demetrius.
You'd like to see Demetrius?
I would. I'd like to see Demetrius Davis come in and maybe just for I'm just hoping that he's what they say he is.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping, but it really just depends on what the OC is, what type of offense, whether it's a spread offense. If it's a pro style offense, I'm kind of leaning toward the kid out of Georgia,
Holden. Yep.
Holden. If it's a pro style, I like to have that kid lead my team. But if it's more of a spread offense, Demetrius might be a great fit for us.
Yeah, and I mean that's what he was brought in for originally, was a spread, a no huddle, fast driven type of offense. I guess I don't kind of see us switching gears to that specifically this year. It was even with Harsin at the helm. That's just me speculating. So I guess that's another reason I would still lean TJ. I think the question for me, it's the question of what would I prefer over what do I think is going to happen. And I think it's a safe bet to say at this moment, TJ has the leg up and should have the leg up as a senior and having the not a senior, excuse me, as an upperclassman and having a little bit more experience. But that's what quarterback competitions are for, right?
Right.
Got to go out there and earn it. And if he is everything that, as you said it already, that people say he is, he's not going to have any problems going out there and proving himself over TJ Finley. If TJ's still here, I'm not fueling any fire that he's leaving, but you just never know after a day like today, right?
Oh, wow. It's just up and down. But we did get the two cornerbacks. That's great for the defense. And, I'm just, once again, the question marks are really on the offensive side of the ball whether we can actually get an offense that can put points up, and we won't have a situation like what happened at Mississippi State.
Yeah, don't bring that back up, please. I was there in person witnessing that debacle. It was literally like watching, and this may be a little bit graphic, a little bit, I hope it's not distasteful, but like watching someone bleed out. You know,
Yeah.
it was. I don't mean it as crass like that, but that's kind of what it felt like at point. It's like you knew somebody was hurting, and you couldn't do anything to stop it. I'm like up there watching, like no, don't let this happen, and it kept happening, and then Bo got hurt and was out of the game, and poor TJ was thrown in there. It just was a microcosm of just messiness.
Yeah, I go back. I'm kind of dating myself, but I go back to the LSU game.
Yeah,
that we had like 4 picks in the fourth quarter to come back and win that game.
Yeah,
we were dead in the water. We had like one of the longest winning streaks in the country. LSU had us on the ropes. We were done, but we picked the ball off 3 times and returned them for touchdowns and ended up winning that game. And it was
incredible.
Incredible. But I'm 50 years old, so I can think back to those days and say, oh my God. Now I know what the other team felt like,
Yeah. And listen, you brought that up. You got to give credit to Will Rogers, Mike Leach, for not giving up. Because they should have been down and out. And boy, did they say, not today. We can't be putting up with this stuff. And they put it to us. And I think we lose sight of that sometimes, that while yes, it is our failures that we lost the game, but it's just as much their successes, because they did. This isn't an Auburn versus South Carolina, and I know we lost this year, but 2 years ago where we just literally had no business losing to somebody. This Mississippi State was a really good team that had already beaten teams that they shouldn't have, and boy howdy,
incredible job at making that air raid offense work in the SEC. I think he's one of the best coaches out there. A lot of people can't contain that offense, and we did for a little while, and then it just erupted, and we did not stop it.
Yeah, it just I don't wish things on anybody bad, even my enemies, and I wouldn't wish somebody sitting through that Mississippi State debacle because that was so bad.
I mean, literally, it was the worst. It was the worst. I would say defensive strategy you could do is to sit back and allow that to happen. But I will give Coach Mason credit that the very next game he made decisions and made changes, and we became a lot more aggressive. And that's the defense that showed up against Alabama in the Iron Bowl.
And I think that's a great point. I love that you brought that up. I think as frustrating and disappointing as the defense and Coach Mason have been at times this year, there were time and time again, maybe not the next game, but at least 2 games from then, good responses. And I think that's why, people were saying, well, should Bobo be fired? Should Mason be fired? Should they all be fired? You got to really kind of look at what actually happened and not just the emotions of it. And I think that's why we still have Mason. And frankly, I'm glad we kept one of them. We got to have some stability, right?
Growing just is what we're going through, and all of this stuff that's happening with us at this point in time, we'll look back on it in 2 or 3 years and say, man, we were really through it, but we are where we are today because of what happened back then. And we're the type of team, I still have a lot of respect and a lot of faith in Coach Harsin in his style of coaching, that he's going to get us to where we need to be. I still think he's the guy.
Yeah, it's way too early, in my opinion, to be judging, to be casting, definitive statements about the success or long-term success or failure of a coach just based off of one season in a transition year. So I love your perspective. It's a good one to do. I want to do the same thing with you to close out. Who is the one recruit that you want to watch for on Wednesday?
A
lot of choices. Or if you don't have a name, what about a position that's most important to you?
The defensive end guy. His name is, I think he's from Africa or something like that. That kid there, he is a program changer.
Yeah,
I see it in him. If he were to come to us, man, we can make that leap into the elite defenses of the country, I think.
And he's got a cool name too, so you know what? Hey, just throw that extra little caveat in there. I love it.
I can't pronounce his name, but right. If I guarantee you, I'll pronounce it if he becomes an Auburn Tiger.
Hey, so. I love it. I love it, man. Hey, Roderick, thank you so much for calling in.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it, man. War Eagle.
Okay, War Eagle, man.
War Eagle. All right, so that's 2 callers tonight. Again, you can take advantage of the call-in line down below. Well, the number's not down there, but just your reminder, top of the chat, if you need me to post it in there. I know we're way behind in chat. Might skip ahead a little bit. If there's something that you really want to have addressed or something, a question answered, something like, just repost it a couple times. If we've missed it, I will try my best to get to it. The great thing about having our family grow within the Auburn family is that there's more of us. The problem is there's more of us, right? So it makes it a little bit more difficult to get to everybody. So for those of you who are OGs that were here from day one, when I got to answer every single question and comment, those days are slowly dwindling down, but we'll continue to do our best here. Russell says Bo to Kentucky may work, even Baylor, FSU, North Carolina. He's just throwing everything out there. Endless possibilities. Yes, definitely endless possibilities for him. Trying to catch up on some of things here. The real question is, why do recruits not know that they're signing Auburn University and not the University of Auburn? We don't need you. That's a little harsh on them. That I know that's a sticking point for you from what I've heard in the past. Yeah, it's a little bit annoying, but they're on live television a lot of the time for this, so I give them the benefit of the doubt. It's a little frustrating. I mean, that's kind of, it almost sounds more prestigious. The University of Auburn, kind of like University of Texas, University of North Alabama, East Mississippi, all that kind of stuff. Could we get, oh no, the same thing with Dan Mullen. Do not wish that evil on us, Neil. Do not. What's your opinion on the head coach calling plays? If it works, I love it, right? If it works, I love it. This scenario, I think it probably works out for Brian, because then the buck always stops with the head coach, right? But now it truly stops with him. And there's no questions who is, in control. He gets all the say. And so there's none of this speculation. Well, it's Bobo. Well, it's Mason. Well, I know that was defense, but, just kind of using that as a discussion point here. John is asking, I heard Tank did not show up for bowl practice. True or false? I don't know that for a fact. Reports say that is true. I could see where that would probably happen and be a little bit frustrating for Tank with everything that's going on. We got our third caller in for the night. He's one of our regulars, one of our Booster Club members, and one of our channel members. What's going on, Dusty?
Good evening, Kyle.
What's up, man? Did you get a haircut, man? Did you get a nice little haircut there? I don't know if maybe that's just the angle I'm looking at.
I just got out of the shower, so it's probably wetting down.
I did too, but there's not much to cut up there, as you can tell. Anyway, what's up, buddy?
I'm good, man. It's been a heck of a 24, 48 hours. So
I need some.
Think about this. How long ago now does the basketball probation news seem like?
Oh, what a great point. I hadn't even thought about that since 24 hours, really. And here's the crazy thing about this, Dusty. You know this. You've been here around long enough. We were planning on Monday nights to just mainly discuss basketball news. It just wasn't going to happen tonight. It's obvious. That's where everybody's mind is at tonight. And so I was thinking even this Saturday after the game was done, I was like, what a great, event to talk about. The news, especially. You're the first one to mention it tonight. That tells you just how things can change in not even a single day. But I'm so glad to have that cloud off of us.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I mean, I guess it's Stephen Pearl.
Yeah,
this week.
Yep, Stephen Pearl. What do you think about Coach Pearl allowing Wes Flanagan and now Stephen to kind of split the time on who does the head coaching? What do you think about that?
No, that's a really cool way to do it. I saw where Wes has said it had been his dream to coach a game as Auburn's head coach. So that's cool that he got that opportunity for sure.
Yeah.
And then, I know Steven probably has aspirations to go on and be a head coach somewhere. So it's cool that he'll get his chance to scout, game plan, and, obviously do all the in-game stuff. So that's pretty cool way of doing it. And then I bet when he comes back, Bruce comes back, that arena will be fired up to welcome him back, and the team will too.
It's gonna be so fire. Here, I think you know this. I was at the game this Saturday, and wow, what an atmosphere! What a show out by the Auburn family. It was incredible. Could you imagine if Bruce had been there after that news had finally been broken? That what's going on? If somehow he's like, that place would have just been bonkers, even more than it already was. I don't think Clemson. Let's think it was Clemson, Drake. Saw LSU fans, Tennessee fans. I don't think they were prepared for the level of Auburn support that was coming to Atlanta. It was incredible, man. I wish you could have been there.
Yeah, me too. That would have been awesome.
I like going to those showcases because you get such a conglomeration of fans together. It's not just, Auburn and Nebraska. It's the LSU fans there. And of course, there's always that one Bama fan there. Why? I don't know.
It's like a plant. It's like, I don't know if they're a spy or.
Well, if they're spies, then they're not doing a good job of it because it's the stereotypical Alabama fan every time. Overweight, got their shirt from Walmart, butt crack hanging out, all that kind of stuff.
No, Auburn, Washington State. Washington State's come to Auburn twice. I just so happen to have gone to both games, and both times the most obnoxious person was a Bama fan. It's like, what
crazy.
do you want? Why are you here, bro?
Why? Like, it's so. Here's, and I'm gonna admit something. I think this is not a shocker here. When I have to go through Tuscaloosa, it's very rare, but I have to. I purposely stop as soon as I get off the interstate and throw up my Auburn flag. We all have a little bit of fun with it. And, I wear my shirts around town. But if I'm going to an event for some reason, I'm going to just wear probably a neutral color and, just kind of stay back. And if it's like Alabama versus, I don't know, LSU for some reason, I'm at that game, I'm just going to be like, every time LSU wins, it's all about time and place, knowing where you are and, just have some common sense. And there's not a lot of that to go around in the Alabama fan base. It's the way it is. Talk to me about recruiting. We've asked a lot of our callers tonight. What's your perspectives on it? What do you anticipate? What you got on mind there?
Right before I called, I looked, and that the kid from FIU, he was a freshman, first team All-American, started every game. I guess he grades out real high. He listed his top 3. We weren't in. We weren't even in there. So cool.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, we need a lineman, and with Bobo going to Georgia, which you saw that coming. But right now we've got one offensive lineman commit. I mean, I hope that part of what they sold Tank on was maybe they got some of these transfer guys that they feel real good about.
Right.
Because I would imagine that was part of his hesitation. Had to have been.
Yep.
He's getting tackled behind the line of scrimmage all the time, man. We talked about it in nauseam. So,
and it's kind of one of those things you expect it to get better at some point. It's like, sure, we're seeing the same things, and I know they're seeing them. So is it just a matter of ability, or is it a matter of we just are not executing properly? And it's probably a mixture of the two of them. I don't know. It like you said, we talked about it ad nauseum here. And, last year I talked a lot about, I didn't think we need a lot of offensive line transfers in. This year I think we do. And I'm not a big transfer person. I think it's a Band-Aid that can be easily ripped off and expose a wound that's still there. But there are scenarios where they are necessary. And unfortunately, where you've got a situation where Keandre Jones, who stepped up and won the job over, I think it was Tayshawn Manning this year, who went to Kentucky, by the way, that's announced today. He's signed on with Kentucky. But I think there's a scenario where Keandre Jones could be the linchpin that kind of restarts this thing. Does that mean it fixed this year? No, but he's going to need some help because I think he won the job for a reason. And I don't remember any scenarios really where Keandre was an issue individually. The whole line was an issue, but Keandre was not. So yes, I think transfers are big this year for offensive line, but I would like us to make almost a complete recruiting side. I'd like to see 5 offensive linemen. I don't care how many stars. I just want them together. I want them coming up together, learning, fighting for positions, and let's get this thing started back from the ground up. That's where I'm at on offensive line.
Yeah, it seems like the next class, 2023, we're really high on a lot of those guys, and a lot of their lists like that looks to be a promising situation. So just this year, like you say, it is a band-aid. We're just gonna have to hit that. And before we go, man, I just want to can I give some shout outs to some people?
Oh yeah, man, shout outs are good.
I want to give a shout out to Zach Etheridge and Trevon Reed. They've been doing a great job out there on the recruiting trail. That's two big lands today, and we're in there to still. There's another DB tomorrow from Valdosta, Georgia. He is committed to LSU. We're expected to flip him, so that would be 2 from LSU right there. And then Trey Citizen, the running back. He's a stud. Come on down, dude. We got plenty of carries for you. So that would be 3 that we'd steal from LSU. It made me think about today. Cam Martin, the running back that played at Auburn.
Yeah,
I appreciate you, dude. I really do. Hanging in there, this whole transfer deal. I'll always remember you, dude. Like, you hung in there and you were an Auburn guy, and I really appreciate that. And that says a lot about his character and the kind of the guy that he is. This ain't no shot at anybody in particular. Everybody's got their own situation, but it seems like now, man, when the going gets tough, a lot of these kids just dip out.
Right?
Yeah. That's the grass ain't always greener, and I just kind of leave it there.
No, I get what you're saying. Go ahead. Sorry. You had some more.
Austin Osbury, he committed to Auburn University. Thank you for getting it right. Because every time a kid gets it wrong, my dad texts me, and then he remembers it their entire time at Auburn that they got that one thing wrong, and I tell him, like, Dad, I'm sure he's got it right now. He's been at the school for 3 years, but I have to hear about it.
Autumn is right now like just air pumping. When she was talking about that earlier, she is just fist pumping right now, like with you.
Yeah, and then Pat Ford and Jeff Goodman. You guys are clowns. You guys are clowns. And I'm not speaking on behalf of the E2C network. This is me. This is me speaking. And Kyle has a strong stance about don't say anything that you wouldn't say to people's face. And I've called him plenty of times. He knows I respect it. I would say this to these guys' face. You guys are clowns. And we see you for what you are. So just like Jeff Goodman, go write about Alabama, dude. Quit writing about Auburn. Like, it's just pathetic at this point. We see what it is. And then Pat Ford, you're not going to catch us, dude. We're better than you. You didn't catch us with Cam Newton.
You're not that guy.
Didn't catch us with Bruce Pearl. Like, you're not going to catch us, dude. We're just too good at this. So stop.
You're not that guy, dude. You're not that guy.
On both of y'all.
Here's what. Let me say this. I'm glad you brought that up. I don't know enough about Pat Ford. I don't frankly care about Pat Ford, whatever his Ford. But the whole Jeff Goodman thing. Here's the ironic thing about it. There's an evil, sadistic side of me that kind of digs what he's doing because he knows what he's doing. And I see you, Jeff. I see you, and I kind of respect the game a little bit, but you annoy me. So it's kind of one of those situations of like
it's cheap. It's cheap.
It is cheap. It is totally cheap. But there is a evil, sadistic side of me that's kind of like, all right, I see you. I see what you're doing here, but it's kind of annoying. And the best way to get people to shut up is don't pay attention to them. It's unfortunate, but when they keep doing this, it's kind of hard not to, right?
Yeah, he pokes the bear. He knows what's up.
Yeah, he knows what's up. Hey, those are great shout outs, man. That's a great way to end this one. I appreciate you calling in as always. You always make me laugh in good ways.
Hey, appreciate you, man. War Eagle, everybody. The sky ain't falling. We're good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, War Eagle. Great call there. That's one of the things that, and listen, I know everybody's got different opinions and everybody's got different strokes and different folks for everybody. Everybody's in different places, optimism, pessimism, all that kind of stuff. But I like what I love about the people who are here, especially regularly, but those of you that are, I don't get to talk to a lot because maybe you don't comment or something. Everybody seems to be pretty evenly keeled for the most part. And I think that's a great thing about this, and especially a world where everybody just on social media, whether it's because you don't like something that somebody says. I just want to compliment you guys that you remind me daily that there's a lot more of the it's not good people, but of the even keeled people out there is a great way. I think I would say that. All right. Still way behind. in chat. And again, I apologize for that. That's the nature of taking these comments like this tonight. So I do apologize for that. But we'll get to as many of them as we can. We're not going away just yet or anything like that. But that's the nature of doing live shows. So if you'd like to call in, please do. Great calls tonight from everybody. We've heard from Roderick, Ryan, Dusty. Good things tonight. And especially if you're a Booster Club member, you'll get in right away if you call in tonight, just like Dusty did. All right, let's see if we can get down here. Wow, lots of comments tonight. Lots of War Dusty Buster. Oh my gosh. That's OG E2C Network YouTube stuff right there. OG YouTube. Cheryl, thank you for watching on Facebook tonight. Let's see here. We did not have an SEC tourney in 2020, did we? Because I think 2019 was the last time we had the SEC. We did not play last year. We were not eligible to play last year. We sat out. That was very frustrating. If you mess up, the call for University of Auburn doesn't bother me. Could be worse. They could ramble off Alabama Polytechnical Institute. If here's the thing, if they say that, if a recruit walks up and says, I am committing to Alabama Polytechnical Institute, I would walk up and shake their hand just for knowing Auburn history. That would win some respect, and it'd be good gamesmanship on their part. But it is a bit frustrating, isn't it? Do ask, where do you think Bo will land? We've addressed this a little bit already. I hope it's nowhere Auburn has to see next year. And I also hope I don't hope it's UCF. I think there's a lot of value for him to go to UCF. The reasons are obvious. I just don't want to see that. It creates a microcosm of hate that is just not necessary. I think there's a lot of upside to Bo going to a Cincinnati, and I see a lot of discussion and, legitimacy to that. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but yeah. I agree that Dusty should start a podcast. I could. I'm also scared of that podcast too. Give Dusty free reign, and he's like, I got it. Here's what it's Dusty's list. Okay, you're on my list for that's what your podcast should be, Dusty. List of people that I want to give shout outs to, good ones and bad ones, in the sense that you're going to call them out. It's a good one. All right, keep those comments and questions coming in here. I'll try to backtrack. I got all the way to the end, but I will backtrack a little bit. Guy from the Orlando Sentinel was that publication. Just not good feelings there. It was awful. He went after AU in 2010 for the Cam Newton. Was that Thayer? Was that Thayer Evans? Is that who that was? Awful guy. It's like what you see a lot of times is people will put themselves out there, make a definitive statement about something, and they're upset when it doesn't go their way and they have egg on their face. So if you missed the live stream earlier, you got some references to that about us related to this whole Bo Nix stuff. Not going to rehash it here, but it's there if you want to go check it out. If something doesn't work out, just own up to it. That's all it takes. It's not that hard. You actually probably earn more respect if you own up to it. Let's see here. What do you think about TJ Finley? I think TJ has a lot of upside that makes him the early favorite. I just want to see what happens with the quarterback battle, though. I think he did nothing to hurt or help really his time or him in the discussion this season. So it's really a matter of what happens in practice, and none of us are there. It's really what it is. And it's not off the table for him to decide to transfer again. I hope not for his sake, but it's off the table, I think. Oh, Russell. You have opened the can of worms, sir. See, this is where right now the people that don't watch all the way through and get all upset because I had the audacity to speak favorably about Coach Malzahn or even Bo Nix they do comments afterward. But I'm going to bring it up anyway, and that's a bad decision on my part, but I'm going to do it anyway. Today's about bad decisions, right? How many games would Auburn win if Malzahn was the coach? That offensive line, man, is still what dictates that whole thing. So you would assume that Kevin Steele would probably still be here. You would assume, I personally would assume that Chad Morris would still be here as well. But that's not necessarily the case. So if the staff had stayed together, there'd be a lot more stability developed. You probably keep at least one of the power 3 receivers that we lost. I could see maybe them convincing either probably Seth to stay. Not Anthony, because he obviously needed to go. And I think Elijah, the lot time he has been there, you would have kept a lot of the defensive players too. I think you would have seen Auburn win more games this year. Does that mean that Coach Harsin is a failure? No, it does not. It simply means there was a choice made, whether we like it or not, for a different direction. And if you want that different direction, you're going to have the patience for it to work out in the end. So, do I think we would have won more games with Coach Malzahn at the helm? Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. Do I think that means that's a bad look on Coach Harsin? No. Hope that's very clear on that. All right, catching up here. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm just now seeing y'all reacting to that one. Neil says he would have won at least 8. I think probably in the realm of that. It was his track record, right? I think it's kind of funny that you mentioned that. All right, let's see here. Wish we could have seen Eli Stove on an NFL roster. I don't always get what I wish for. Elijah Stove, I would have loved to have seen him use one more year. I think he still probably had it somewhere in his belt. AE dot. I don't know. A dot. A dot. Is that what? Because it's a dot in his profile picture. I don't know. Just joined. How are we feeling about the 2 new commits on defense? Big time commits. The fact that you stole one from LSU, or were they both from LSU? I can't remember. One from LSU is a huge thing. When you steal from one of your SEC divisional rivals, that's a huge thing. Very much needed with Roger McCreary leaving, probably some others as well. Tennyson's already left. Going to need to shore up that defensive backfield, and you're going to need some really good transfer talent, really good commit talent to do that. And we have the talent here already. But I think, as you've noticed, that talent is not ready yet to be leaned on that much. All right, we're at the 9 o'clock hour. Typically, I only do about an hour of these, but we're having such a great discussion. I'll go for a little bit longer. Please do take advantage of the call-in link. It's in the chat. Well, I think it's this way on your screen. The chat window. Check that up there. All you got to do is click on it. You can be audio only. You can be face up. Everybody's been on their face tonight, which has been good to see. Have a face to talk to. Don't be shy. We'll talk about anything that you want to. The main discussion points have been, obviously with Bo Nix leaving, the implications of what have happened after that. We've talked a lot about recruits. We've talked a lot about where does Bo go? What do we do at quarterback? Tank supposedly staying. Is that a good thing? Obviously, what does that mean for Auburn's future? OC stuff. We've covered the wide gamut of it tonight. And we've even tried to talk a little bit of basketball as we were originally supposed to. So it's been a lot tonight. Auburn moved up from 35 to 27 in the rankings. Yeah, I mean, if you care about those things, then yeah, that's great. I'm not trying to belittle that, Chris, but it's just one of those things that I don't necessarily. Is it great when it works out? But yeah, it's fine. I just don't focus so much on rankings and stars and stuff. I worry about what do the guys bring to the table, and stars are not stars are an imaginary thing that they don't bring to the table. What they bring is their heart and their effort and their physical abilities. Those are the only stars that matter in my book. 26 in recruiting now. Is that what he said? He said 26 and 27. Top 10 before. I guess if we want to on that topic, and we'll talk more about this on Wednesday. There was someone said it earlier in the stream here that there was a pretty prominent recruiting voice that said they expected us in the top 15. If this continues, this trend, if this is just the beginning of what people are expecting for this week for Auburn, that's a high likelihood. Thing you got to remember, though, this is the early signing period. There's still the main signing period to go. That Dusty guy is pretty cool. Is this somebody who knows Dusty? Or are you just being very, very nice to him? I agree. but this feels like a friend or something like that. Is Auburn underachieving the past 3 years with Bo? So why do you put Bo there? Because by the same token, you can say, was this overachieving with this offensive line, with this wide receivers, with this defensive back unit, with this linebacker? What I'm trying to get a lot of people, and I'm not picking on you, which is weird to say, there's so much focus on the quarterback, and there should be. It's kind of similar to the head coach position, right? But there's so much more at play there. Did we underachieve? Yeah, because the expectation should be that we win pretty consistently, which I would say bare minimum is 8 games a season. That means you probably win all your non-conference games. That means you take care of the ones you should in conference play. And then, you have some pretty tough rivals, Alabama, LSU, Georgia. And usually there's another SEC team on your schedule that really comes up every now and again. So that being said, did we underachieve? Absolutely. But it has just as much to do with the other facets of the game than it does Bo. So I would say the potential was much higher for all involved, every player involved these past 3 years. It just didn't work out. Some good bowl game talk. We're going to get to that at some point, but there's too much going on right now with all this stuff. So after watching multiple Houston games, I think we have every chance to beat them, but they could easily sneak up on us if we don't come out hot. I am expecting Houston to come out and give us a little bit of a scare. My hope is that we are still far more talented than that, but this name that just popped up in my thing. Oh, I don't know if I should take this, but I think I'm going to. Dusty McBuster, welcome to the call.
Hey man, what's going on, Kyle?
I think
this is not Dusty McBuster. This is not. This is a shout out to Dusty, though. He's got a fan club going tonight.
Hey, good job, Dusty. I listen. If Dusty's the winner of the day, right, with his list of grievances, isn't he?
That's why the name. It was just had to do the name of Dusty McBuster. He just knocked it out of the park.
He did. He absolutely did. What's on your mind, brother?
This is Russell, by the way. How's it going, buddy?
I figured. I recognized your voice from previous calls, but I'm sure Dusty appreciates the shout out.
I was waiting for the right time to use that name, but no offense to Dusty, I'm sure he knows the story. But granddaddy Dustbuster's got to show up every now and then.
Listen, there's a T-shirt, folks. There's a T-shirt if you want it. If you buy it, that's on you. You asked for it. I put it out there. Go find it. It's on the TeePublic store.
Yeah, I didn't have much to contribute to on a major point, but I'm interested in all that you've had to talk about tonight. It's quite an entertaining time, if maybe not the most pleasant for some Auburn fans, right, but it's pretty exciting with everything going on right now with basketball and then suspension. All that's getting put behind us. We're about to make a run in basketball, and then we got signing day on Wednesday. That's going to calm down a lot of the naysayers out there trying to tear down Auburn at any opportunity they can get. They're not really going to have much to talk about, I hope, on Wednesday. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm really thinking we're going to have a really positive Wednesday.
Oh, it seems like it's trending that way. If today is an indication of how Wednesday is going to go, it's a pretty good sign.
I agree.
And I love the optimism about that, but it's that, and I hate to be, I hope I'm not being a Debbie Downer here, that optimism is really only for that day. What we do with them after that point is going to be the huge factor in this, because you can bring in the 4 and the 5 stars, but if they don't stay, if they don't get developed, or that's a fun word that everybody loves to use now, if they don't get utilized properly, whatever, addition you want to add on that, then what did it matter? It was a fun day. So my focus is, can we get these guys the coaching that they need, put them in the right positions to be successful, and make sure that that hype that was built on Wednesday, and I'm excited for it too, so don't get me wrong, it is maximized upon, because I think that's a legitimate, case that a lot of people have had, is that they felt like some of the recruits that Coach Malzahn brought in weren't maximized on, like their potential was never fully realized, or whether that was disciplinary issues or things like that. I think that's a legitimate a case that people have against that.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. It is a stepping stone, and it's nothing set in stone after Wednesday. I just think it's the right appropriate dose of medicine that a lot of us Auburn fans need what we've had to deal with.
It'll be a nice change of pace for what's been going on lately.
Absolutely. As long as we add a few more offensive linemen, I think most people kind of quiet down a little bit, but that's even a concern of mine right now. I have all the confidence in the world in Eston Harris, and they're not going to just bring in guys to bring in. I've noticed that about Harston. He's not stocking the roster with just space fillers. He's going after guys that he thinks are going to contribute, and that's just going to raise a level of play of everybody on the whole roster when you've got people coming in that are going to threaten your job. So it's going to develop into a somewhat of a professional atmosphere, in my opinion, the way that he's running it. And I think he's already set that in stone. He's getting rid of coaches mid-year and after first year and prominent coaches, and it's no disrespect to the coaches he got rid of, and he's even said that they're just not fitting his style of play. So after his year of learning in the SEC and knowing the ins and outs of what he needs, and he probably bought into a little bit, I need some familiarity and things like that with some of his coaching selections. But I think he's familiar enough now to where he doesn't need that familiarity anymore. He needs somebody that's going to actually I don't want to be too critical of Bobo because I like him, but we just need a little bit better play calling in certain situations this year. And I think we probably would have won 2 or 3 more games, but that's neither here or there. And I had to throw out the Malzahn thing too, because I'm always looking at Auburn's program, for 3 years out, what it would be if this guy would have stayed and this, that, and the other. And I honestly think Malzahn probably would have won about 8 to 9 games this year. And but not to say that was the best solution for the future. And I was a Malzahn fan. I thought he deserved 1 more year. I'm in the small camp that you were. I thought he deserved 1 more year because I thought this year for the past couple of years was that year like the 17 type of year where things were kind of coming together, roster wise, schedule wise, all that. But that's neither here or there. But I'm looking forward to the future because the guys we signed tonight, on top of guys that I think are silent commitments, are pretty big name guys, and it's going to really, perception wise across the nation, it's been a rough week with the basketball and everything, and Bo Nix leaving today. But after Wednesday, I think their narrative is hopefully going to start to change for the better, and then we can start to concentrate on this bowl game, because to me it's more important than a lot of people realize. This is just a whole off season of going in with a W or an L, and I know it's the Birmingham Bowl, but Houston's not a pushover, and they're a ranked team, and it would give us a lot of respect nationally to do the signing day like I think we're going to, and then follow that up with hopefully a bowl win, and what I'm looking at a 90% Auburn crowd, because I was looking at tickets and I couldn't believe the prices of the tickets, and I'm from Birmingham. And I was just impressed. I mean, if the price is already this high, that, in my opinion, that's just Auburn fans just snagging them up left and right, and so it's going to be a huge advantage for Auburn, and looking forward to it. Being here to close out the season, and 7 wins isn't, it's nothing to have a parade over or anything like that, but it's something to build on. Like, we all just have to be patient through this, and Dusty's positivity and a lot of other people on here is needed, and yours as well. And also, one more thing, I wanted to add this. I know you got a little bad publicity for this week of things that had happened, but people who know you and listen to this, they know you're not a part of that clickbait type of journalism to where you're just trying to get attention. We all know that you had good intentions, and you're in a business to where you're a lot more high profile. A lot of these people who are criticizing you, they probably made 10 times as many mistakes as you had this week, but they're not on the platform you are. So, my opinion, just let that be water roll off your back, because we see what you do week in and out, and you do provide very accurate information. And like you said before, that was probably accurate at the time, but things change, and you're a human, and you know what? You made a mistake just like the rest of us, but it's nothing that people should be bashing you over, because we know you. We know you're not that tight. We've heard how you feel about irresponsible journalism going on out there trying to get clicks, and you're not that guy. So don't listen to the people who are talking bad. They obviously don't know you.
Well, I appreciate that, sir. That means a lot for you to say that. It does. Obviously, it's not been fun. Some of the stuff that has gone on, but hey, listen, that comes with the territory, and if you're not willing to, it's kind of like what I always say about dealing with opposing fans. I dish it out only because I can take it. And I don't mean that I'm dishing things out to people, but I think you catch my drift there. Is if don't step into the kitchen if you can't take the heat. Is basically what I'm trying to get across here. But I appreciate a lot of your perspectives that you said, but I appreciate those last ones especially. So thank you so much, Russell.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like I say, you're true fans, guys that have been here for a while. Dusty did a roll call earlier. There's been a lot of us guys that support you. We're here for the long run. We're not going to let these bad people, these naysayers, try to tear you down. They're always going to be there from here on out, and you just got to take them in stride and know how to appropriately deal with them. And that's dealt with kind of like the probations, in my opinion. Kyle, that's over and done with. We're moving on to bigger and better. So, yeah, glad to see you growing, and best of luck to you and ETC fam, and God bless all, and hope to speak with you soon again, Cal.
Obviously, sir. Thank you so much, War Eagle.
War Eagle, buddy.
All right, great call there tonight. I think that's probably a good way to close the phone lines down. We're not done just yet, but it's a good way to kind of end the night. Don't panic, though, if you were wanting to call in. We are going to have another opportunity on Wednesday night. It is usually our most regularly scheduled live stream where it's kind of open-ended during football season. We used it to preview the next game. This week, signing day. Already talked about it a lot. We'll actually have definitive things to talk about on Wednesday night. So 8 p.m. Eastern time, be here live. Do not miss it. It's going to be fun. Yes, we're going to analyze what was the right one, what was the win, what was the loss, but it's more about just hearing your opinions about them. And that's what this is all about. So thank you guys so much for being here tonight and being part of the show. Get some last minute comments and questions in here if you'd like to. We can address those here in the chat right now if you want to. A couple of reminders for you if you can. Check out ways to help support our content. The easiest thing to do, smash the like button right now. You can do it on social media as well if you're watching on Facebook and Twitter. The retweet button, all that good stuff. It does help us grow as an Auburn family, little small family within the Auburn family. You can subscribe, hit that notification bell if you're here on YouTube. I hope you join us on YouTube if you're watching somewhere else. And there's other links in the description, such as becoming a Booster Club member or a channel member here, specifically on YouTube. The other one being on Patreon, both starting at $1 a month. Please do check all that stuff out. If you have spare change to throw around, it does help keep the lights on, so to speak, the bright shining lights on here. I'll take one more call because I think we got it in time. But is this Bo Nix?
No, it's not Bo Nix.
What's going on, Bo?
What's up, buddy?
How you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. I mean, I'm happy for Bo, man. I mean, there was a lot of criticism over him, a lot, and he took it with grace, I thought, man. There's a lot of so-called Auburn fans that's down on him, and if you're true to him, you know, you wouldn't be talking bad about him, man. I mean,
yeah,
that's the way I see it.
And I think that's fair to say. I have no problem with people criticizing Bo as long as it's constructive. You know, you suck. You know, that type of stuff. That's not constructive.
No.
I have a problem with you not planting your feet. That's constructive, you know, because that's something concrete that you can point to and say, hey, you have a tendency to do that. If you just do that, I can see where you'd have a little bit more success. Why can't, what's the issue? You know, those are concrete constructions. But when we are, you know, I even saw someone say on social media this week something, I know it had some language in it, so I'm not going to repeat it verbatim, but to the effect of, I hate this man basically with every atom of my being.
Oh my God.
And it's so toxic. There's no need for that. And those are the things that people say on social media that they would never say to a person. It's why I do this in front of you guys, because I have to make sure that I'm being kind.
You know what I call them kind of people?
What's
undercover
that?
Bammers.
It's probably not far from the truth.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, man. But hey, yeah, I think Bo probably did what was best for him. And I don't mean that as in a selfish way, but I mean just in looking at the overall scenario. I also hope that in time it will be what was best for Auburn too. I think it hurts Auburn a little bit right now, but that doesn't mean Bo did the wrong thing by leaving.
I know where he's going, man. I know where he's going. Yeah, either Cincinnati or Central Florida.
Well, those look like two very likely choices, so you're probably not far off, sir. Here's the thing, though, as crazy as this day has been, and this offseason, well, not even offseason yet, we're just postseason right now, has been, it'll probably be like Oregon State and come out of left field just to get away from everything. So, but I agree with you. I think those are two likely choices. If you had to pick one for them, what would you say?
Central Florida.
You want the Bo and Gus reunion, huh?
Gus, yeah, man.
I love it. I love it. I think it has a lot of upsides to have that matchup again.
It really does, man.
But I see a lot of negativity heading that way if it happens, and I think that's more me just wanting Bo to protect Bo than anything. But if that's what happens, and if they have success together, boy, it'd be hard not to smile at that, kind of thing.
Oh, I'm going to root for him regardless, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to root.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Recruiting, man. We got 2 guys today.
Yep.
And it's looking good, man. I mean,
it's feeling
we're
good.
In for a lot. We're in for a lot of guys.
Yeah.
And it ain't been that way in a long time.
Yeah. It's I think one of the things that were good about previous Malzahn classes, you'd always get that 1 or 2 big recruits, but after that, it just kind of felt like there weren't a lot of fillers for the last kind of thing. This one, it kind of feels like you're going to get a couple of those big names, maybe. I'm not talking 5 stars, top 10 prospects, but I am talking like names that everybody wants, right? Whether it could be like a Darius Clemens out of Oregon, the wide receiver. I don't know that, but I'm just going to throw that name out there. But it feels like they're going to get pretty solid recruits that are highly sought after, but maybe some of these diamonds in the rough. And that's honestly what I'm more intrigued about on signing day. Who's the Jarquez Hunter? Who's the guy that nobody wanted in terms of big time programs, and we snatch him up and look what he does when he gets on the team?
You're right.
Who's that guy? Who's the Tennyson? Who's the guy that a lot of people looked over? That's what I'm excited for about Wednesday.
You're right, man. Like what was that guy's name, man? He used to be a linebacker for us. When Chiz was there. No, when Gus and Chiz.
Yes. Gosh, if you hadn't have said it, I could have told you the name, but I can't remember.
But he was like a 2-star.
Yep.
And he was
Deshaun Davis. Is that who we're talking about?
No.
Well, Deshaun was very low rated too, but he became one of the best linebackers in the country.
What was his name, man? It was when McCaleb was there.
Josh Bynes, but Josh was pretty highly rated as far as Josh Bynes was pretty highly rated from what I remember.
And when Etheridge was there.
I'm not really placing it. Well, it'll hit us tonight when we go to bed.
Yeah, it'll come to me.
Bates.
Oh,
Darren Bates.
Man.
Darren Bates.
Yeah, man. I know where Justin Williams is going.
Do you? Where's he going?
He's going to Tennessee, man.
And why is that?
He went for an official a couple of days ago.
Oh, is it this weekend?
Yeah. Yeah, well, he loved it. And he loved it.
Let's hope that it didn't work out well for him.
Oh, it did. I mean, I keep hearing a lot of people saying he's going to Tennessee.
Yeah. We'll find out here in a couple hours.
I don't really care. I want the running back from Louisiana. What's his name?
Well, we've got Damari Alston already, so we're pretty good at that right now. But I'll take some more.
Oh yeah. All right, buddy.
All right, thank you so much.
And to all the real Auburn family, God bless. War Eagle.
War Eagle to you as well, Bo. Thank you for calling in. All right. Again, that's a pretty good call to end right there. Wanted to take that in since we got into the last minute. We're going to close out right here. A lot of great comments tonight. A lot of great commentary. Different opinions on a lot of things, which is good. We don't want this to be just a little sound box where it's just me making sure I get my point of view out there. But this is where we have constructive conversation. And if you're going to be part of that conversation, you will definitely get your voice heard here on this as much as we can. Let's see any last minute comments. We got some more war dustbusters being thrown out. I never in my wildest dreams thought that would take on the life it has, but it's been pretty entertaining to watch. I think one diamond in the rough for Auburn could end up being the Rob Brown. He is from my hometown in Tryon. Is that how you say it? Tryon or Tryon, Georgia. 3-star running back, but led the state in Georgia. Diamonds in the rough, like Aladdin, right? That's what we're looking for here. The sun will swallow the earth before Bo goes to Bama. I don't think that'll happen. I don't think it needs to happen. There's a Heisman Trophy winner there sitting pretty good. So I think that's the main reason that's not going to happen. But you never say never, right? Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Again, I'm sorry that we didn't get to focus on basketball like we typically do, but hopefully as things cool down postseason wise, with all this, we will obviously have signing day, hopefully get an OC here very quickly. Well, not very quickly, but just soon enough. And we'll be able to kind of get on a more focused schedule and talk some more basketball, because that is good stuff right now. We need to be focusing on that a lot more than we are. And we will do that here as soon as everything sells up. Thank you guys so much. Smash the like button on the way out. Share it out with a friend. Invite a friend in. You guys are the best little family within the Auburn family. Till I talk to you again, War Eagle.